Well, you know what they say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your boss.
Or your co-stars. It can be pretty tough if you don't see eye to eye with your superior. And as Hollywood has learnt the hard way, workplace dramas rarely stay on screen.
Everyone loves an evil boss in the movies.
Where are those transmissions?
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organisation will not tolerate failure.
But what happens when the war spills over into real life? Charlie Sheen may have been the star of 2.5 Men, but creator Chuck Lorre wasn't standing for his diva antics. After one too many drug-related rants, Sheen was booted from the show.
It's over. O-B-U-R.
Charlie got to turn the tables on his latest sitcom, Anger Management, when he fired co-star Selma Blair by text message after Selma reportedly questioned his work ethic.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Desperate Housewives star Nicolette Sheridan was killed off in the hit series once she filed legal complaints claiming show creator Mark Cherry hit her. And A-list bombshell Megan Fox was replaced as the Transformers leading lady after reportedly comparing director Michael Bay to Hitler in an interview.
From here, the fight will be your own.
But it seems the two have made up. They're now working together on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, proving that when it comes to fights with the boss, there can be a happy ending after all.
Right?
Yeah, for more, we're joined by Mindful Mediation Managing Director Caryn Cridland. Good morning to you, Caryn.
Good morning.
Obviously very important to get along with the boss, obviously.
Absolutely. It's essential to get along with the boss. Otherwise we feel uncomfortable at work constantly, and it's not a very nice feeling to be dreading to go into work.
Sure.
OK, so 70% of people have had some form of conflict at work. What are the most common causes of it?
Well, there are numerous causes of conflict, but some of the main ones are miscommunication, so misunderstandings or misinterpretations. Also, relationship issues, so just not getting along, personality clashes, as well as leadership or management style, so incompatibility. So a manager might manage in a certain way, but a staff member wants to be managed in a different way. And then also expectations. Sometimes the workplace expectations can cause conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what are the biggest pet peeves bosses have about their employees, do you think?
Well, there are a number of pet peeves of bosses. Some of the main ones are employees not doing the job.
Yeah.
Other things like wasting time on social media and so on. Some bosses don't like people bringing personal issues to work. However, these days there's a recognition we're not robots. We don't have a switch that we can turn off and just come to work and leave everything at home. So workplaces are changing a bit. Obviously, absenteeism is a big issue in some workplaces, and also whinging. Bosses just don't like people complaining over and over again.
OK, now let's look at the flip side. And employees, the workers, have certain peeves about their bosses.
They certainly do. So some of the big ones for employees are unclear expectations, or people that micromanage. So people don't like to feel watched. So it's very, can be very distressing for people not to feel trusted or have freedom in the workplace. Also, for some people, not feeling challenged. So the work itself might be too menial. And bosses also who avoid issues leave employees feeling unsupported or unheard. So that can be very difficult for employees.
And that can escalate as well.
Certainly, yeah.
It's probably unrealistic for us to think that everybody gets on with everybody all of the time. So how can bosses get the most out of their employees, do you think?
Well, there are a number of things that they can do. Setting clear vision and values and goals so people know what's expected. Also outlining clearly the roles and the tasks that they expect. And also giving and seeking feedback is really important. So it's a two-way street, and make sure it's regular and specific. Also, developing rapport is a really great way of getting to know staff, and it doesn't have to take a long time. It could be even a minute or 30 seconds just to say, hi, how was your weekend?
OK, and what if, so that's for the boss. So if you're an employee, some tips for the workers?
So for the workers, it's really important to show commitment by getting your job done and behaving in accordance with the workplace culture and behaviours that are expected. So when you show that commitment to the organisation, it's usually reciprocated in many cases. Also being upfront with issues. So telling a boss before a deadline's missed, actually I think I'm going to have trouble meeting this deadline. No boss likes to know after the deadline's missed, look, I'm not going to meet the target. Then also thinking outside the box. It's great if you you can show initiative, add some value, that's also a really positive thing an employee can do.
All right, conflict all around, all of the time. What are your top
Yeah.
tips then for overcoming conflict? How do we get on top of this?
Well, there are a number of things that you can do. Some of the best ones, I think, are just being self-aware, thinking about the impact of your own behaviour and responses on others, as well as taking responsibility for your contribution to whatever the issues are is a big one, because we all don't like to be blamed for things, and sometimes, you know, I mean, in most cases, conflict is a two-way street, and it takes two to tango. There's no smoke without fire. All those cliches are really true in the workplace or any conflict. Another thing is putting yourself in someone else's shoes is really important. So shifting your perspective a bit, and speaking up and taking action are absolutely essential. So a lot of conflict actually escalates because people just don't do something.
It just stews, right?
Yeah, and that's probably the most important, is actually say something to the person involved, and if you can't, then say something to someone else that you can trust and get advice on how to deal with the issue.
Good stuff.
Thank you. Some good
Pleasure.
advice. And
Thank
the fact
you
that
very
your
much.
company actually exists shows how much conflict is out there.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good to see you. Great tips. In just a moment for you, Nicole Kidman chats about her controversial film at Cannes.